A lot of people watched on YouTube. I guess when you get a notification when the stream starts, and like I just got a notification. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I just got a notification that training started. We had a lot of people that got that notification that actually watched on YouTube last week. Now, for those that are watching on YouTube, just know that I do not see the questions that you're posting on YouTube. Some people posted in the live chat last week in YouTube. Let me turn that off now. And but this is a great platform if you're looking for something. You can also do Facebook Live at the same time, which is very powerful and really, really cool. So, but let's get started. Welcome to Wednesday Night Training. On behalf of the Appwizard Studio team, it is great to have everybody here and be a part of training. For those of just checking in, if you didn't get notifications, we're going to get that straightened out. I will get with support first thing tomorrow. But tonight we're going to go over everything we went over the last 3 weeks. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A box, an actual Q&A box. Hopefully everybody can see the Q&A box, but click on the Q&A box and ask the questions. The chat box goes by pretty quick, but the Q&A box, and it also gives me a notification that, it saves the Q&As in case I miss something, and I can go back and look, and I can answer those questions via email or via Facebook. So we're going to go ahead and start the recording here so that we can have a backup recording just in case Facebook fails. And but welcome to training. Welcome to Wednesday Night Training. We have had 3 weeks, I guess maybe 4 weeks of nothing but beacon training and some platform training. Next week, we're going to go into strategies, pulling all of this information together. How many of you saw the article that Woodrow posted just a few days ago on texting? Did anybody see that? Did everybody see that? Yes, I highly recommend that you read that article. It's very, very, very good. It answers a lot of questions about texting. And I'm going to tell you, texting isn't going anywhere. And texting is like part of the nucleus of our platform. And if you want to drive traffic and you want to make things happen, you need texting. And you need texting as part of the marketing strategies for your customers. We've got a complete circle of marketing strategies now that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. We'll be heavy into the platform next week, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things as far as marketing strategies with all the tools that we've been talking about over the last several weeks. Real quick, if you have not joined the Facebook group, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/AWS Mastermind. That's facebook.com/groups/AWS Mastermind. Quick disclaimer, Appwizard Studio nor I cannot guarantee just because you are watching training, you will make any sales, create any traffic, or increase your income. Every person is different and has different work ethics and different desires. I was asked last week after training why I have to say that. That is a requirement by the FTC that statement is put in there now. So if you're doing webinars, once again, since we're training tonight, if you're doing webinars and you're talking to people and you're using these platforms to do things, you've got to put that disclaimer in there. You cannot guarantee that anybody can do anything because you don't know that person. So that's the reason that disclaimer is in there. I just wanted to share that. I was asked last week for the first time, and I wanted to make sure I did that. The tools that we have been talking about, all the tools that we've been talking about are just tools in your toolbox and should be used in conjunction with the tools you currently use. Some of you use a lot of tools, okay? Some of you have implemented Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram in your sales. You build those pages for those persons. You teach them how to use them. You show them how to update them. In some cases, you do it for them. And of course, you charge for that. I understand that, and you should. Some of you just sell the mobile apps. Some of you sell just the kiosk system. Some of you just are selling beacons with the mobile app. So there's quite a plethora of things that you're doing right now, and what I suggest that you do, and I think I saw Michael Cahill check in earlier. Michael Cahill is very good at selling a full basket of marketing tools to his clients. Everything from video to reputation management to mobile apps to texting, the entire marketing system. And so I recommend as we go through training, especially starting next week, and I want you to start thinking this week as we go into next week about the strategies that you're using. And we're going to be in heavy conversation next week. I want to talk. I want us to communicate back and forth. I was speaking to a reseller yesterday, and sometimes we get tunnel vision, and we don't think about what we actually have and where we're going and what we're doing. And we get so focused on one small piece of the Appwizard system and the marketing platform and everything that's in this platform that we look at one thing to sell, and that's the only thing we see. And I was talking to this person yesterday, and I said, get away that you are selling mobile apps. You're not in the mobile web app business, okay? That is just one of the tools that you have that you're able to sell. You are in the marketing business. You are in the business to drive traffic for that business, period. You have no other goal except to drive traffic and increase their income. And we've got all the tools in the platform to be able to do that. So don't stay focused on one thing. You are a marketing strategist. You're a marketing consultant. You're whatever it is you call yourself. You're not a mobile app salesperson. You know, that is just one of the tools in the toolbox. So I hope that over the next few weeks, and with some of the input from some of our seasoned veterans that have been out in the streets and have done this for the last, gosh, some of you have been here as long as I have. I've been here 5 years in last April. We've been at this game a long time, and we hope to share and open your eyes to the things that you need to do. Because sometimes we just think, well, this is the only strategy. But there are many, many strategies that you're able to use. We started talking about Beacon Technology just a few weeks ago, and I likened it to the 1849 gold rush. Everybody was extremely excited about the gold rush. I mean, they literally piled in. They went through extreme measures to get out west and start panning for those little flakes of gold. Some people did very well. Some people didn't do well at all. Some people didn't make it, okay? But that opportunity was amazing. And that's what the Beacon Technology is right now. It is literally golden nuggets that you're out sharing with people. There's many sizes. There's many shapes. There's many ways that you can share it. There's many ways that you can use it. And those are some of the things that we've talked about over the last few weeks. And we're going to continue to share and just review those nuggets that we talked about tonight. First and foremost is the Beacon and the mobile web app. 4 weeks ago, Mark programmed the system to where we can actually use the mobile web apps with Beacon Technology. Using the Eddystone URL, you have to have an HTTPS. The URL has to be secure. And so now you can use the HTTPS in order to set up your app with the Eddystone URL and get notifications. And I know many, many, many of you are doing that. We talked about the history of the app. The Beacon. Beacon Technology has not been around a long time. The Eddystone technology has only been around about a year. So, and it's really starting to take hold this year as all the phones and all the platforms are starting to what we call bake in the technology so that you can get the notifications inside the app. As a matter of fact, Eddystone in the physical web was launched in July of 2015. So 1 year ago, last month, this was launched, okay? And when it was launched, then all the tech companies started building the hardware around it. And then all the phone companies started saying, okay, well, we want in on this. Now, you can use it with Android, okay? It is primarily for Android because you don't really have to do anything except what? Turn on your Bluetooth, okay? Android comes with notifications turned on. A lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, but some people really like to mess with their phones. Okay. I put my phone out of the box and I never touch it. I never do anything to it except use it exactly as it is. Some people like to go in and turn things on, turn things off, but the majority of people don't do anything. We have been seasoned. We have literally been taught over the last several years, and I'm starting to believe that all this was very well planned. Okay. Everything was very well planned. And the devices started coming out using what? Bluetooth. The watches started coming out. Your car's attached to Bluetooth. Everything started all of a sudden attaching to Bluetooth on the phone. Your phone literally started controlling everything. So what did that do? That actually made us turn on our Bluetooth and not worry about it anymore, because everything was attached to our phones. So now they've got everybody what? With Bluetooth on. Now they've come out and they said, okay, everybody's got Bluetooth on now. Let's bake this into the Android phone. And now we start broadcasting all these notifications to where we can start driving marketing traffic using the Bluetooth technology. I'm one that believes that everything happens for a reason, and that the plans have been laid out long before we ever even thought about this stuff. And so the Beacon technology literally launched last July with the Bluetooth technology. Before that, you had to download a bunch of apps. We looked at this over a year ago, and there was so much crap that you had to do just to get a notification. We said, no way, we're not going to go there. And then everything started happening with the Eddystone URL. The physical web was invented and is being used very heavily now. Beacon technology is one of the fastest marketing technologies ever developed. How many of you have the physical web app on your phone? Just throw it up there. You can throw it in the chat box or throw it wherever you want to throw it. How many of you have the physical web app on your phone? If you don't, you need to, especially if you're selling beacons, because that's the first place you need to check to make sure that that your beacon is working. I'll give you a prime example. I had a guy message me earlier, right before training, and he said his beacon wasn't working and asked me if I could check it real quick. And I did. And I checked his URL. That's the first thing I always check. And guess what? His URL was not secure. It had not taken effect yet. He needed to contact his host provider. So those steps are extremely important. That's why we talked about make sure that you have these apps. I go through 3 steps when I program a beacon. I program it. I make sure, then I go back in and I double check it in the Radius Beacon app. Then I go to my physical web URL. Then I go to the locate URL. The locate Rad Beacon locate app, and I check it there. And then I make sure it comes up in the physical, on the notifications, as you can see here. Someone asked a while ago, and I can't remember who it is. They couldn't get, and it looked like they were on an iPhone. For an iPhone, this is all you're going to get is the header. Okay, so your full description isn't going to show up on an iPhone. It just, and why, I don't know. It won't be long that iPhone is going to bake in this technology, and it's going to be there. Okay. Matter of fact, the way everybody's talking, it's going to be next year. What are beacons? Now, this is believe it or not, I still get this question a lot, and I just want you to know, a beacon is nothing more than a transmitter. It's not a receiver. Okay. The only way it receives that little ping that says, hey, there's a Bluetooth device that is close, and it transmits that data. The Bluetooth actually triggers that beacon to send the information. That's the only information that it's going to receive. Okay. Now, there is ways for it to accept data through the UID, but on the URL, now what happens is, and I was talking 2 days ago, I think all I do now is talk beacons. They were talking about, some platforms can pull in multiple information, and it actually gives out data. Okay. This is what happens in those platforms. Those platforms collect data from multiple phones in one area. Let's say that you're coming into Carrie's Cafe, and I've got beacons in there. And what it does is it collects data from all those phones that are connecting to those beacons. And then through an algorithm, it knows exactly what's going on, and it can tell what pages are being done. That's how your stats come in. Okay, that's the way that happens. About 115 feet is the optimum for beacons. A lot of people are saying, hey, I was at the football game the other day, and I was sitting all the way on the other end of the stands. The optimum settings that I showed you guys is for about 115 feet. We talked about IoT, the internet networking of physical devices. The physical device being the beacon, okay, which can be attached to absolutely anything. How many of you have beacons on the street right now? How many of you have put beacons out on the street and you've got them in your customers' hands, and your customers are using them? You've connected them to your apps, or I mean, I've sold beacons to people that doesn't have an app and they just wanted it connected to their website. So it's just another tool in the toolbox that I'm able to sell if they don't want an app. Has anybody got beacons out with their customers right now? How do your customers like it, Michael? What are they saying? And I'm going to roll on while that question is being answered, and we'll get some feedback here. What are the opportunities with beacons? Engage your customers and visitors through context-based and personalized content. You can literally take these beacons, okay, and send them directly to a coupon. Yeah, absolutely. Mike says they're excited about the possibilities. You can send them directly to coupons. You can send them directly to a sign-up page. You can send them anywhere you want to send them to. Yeah, this system's a little bit different. We don't have it set up to where you can see the other attendees, or it's set up that way. I don't think there's an option. I can see everything, or I can see some things. And I'm not sure how to change that. But activate customers at offline touch points and point of sale. That point of sale counter, combined with the beacon technology, combined with the kiosk technology, is absolutely, Mike said in chat, everybody can see everyone else's responses, but not in the Q&A, I take it. So that point of sale counter is like the gold mine for that customer. And that's one thing you need to talk to them about and share with them. I mean, that is where everything should be happening from as far as their marketing tools go. I taught a while back when we talked about the kiosk, about the 60-80 rule. 60% of the people will not come back into that store after the first visit because there was no engagement. There was no way to reach out to them. That point of sale system does that. That kiosk system does that. And with those systems, you can bring 80% of the people back to that store. So out of 100, 60 won't come, but out of that 60, you can bring 48 back in order to come back there and buy from that store. And those are the numbers that you guys need to be sharing with your clients. That's the information you need to be talking to them about. Sometimes we're afraid to say things, right? Sometimes we're afraid to be bold. And there's one thing I've never been afraid of is to be bold, because I'm there to help that person. I don't mean be rude. I mean be bold and make sure that they understand, because now not everybody's going to understand. You're going to run across some people that are total, I'm trying to think of a nice word, but just, you know what I'm talking about, just total tails. Okay. And you're not going to get them to buy anything because they know everything. They're going to do everything. They've got it all planned out and they got it all figured out. You're not going to sell those people anyway. Okay. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. That point of sale counter is really where you need to stack up all your technology. You need a kiosk there. You need that kiosk attached to a beacon. You need that beacon transmitting out your sign up pages. You need those beacons as they walk in the door, welcome them. and as they exit, thanking them. There's so many things now that allows you to drive traffic for that client. It's not even funny. Optimize retargeting with the help of offline customer behavior. You know, you can actually put targeting inside your mobile web apps. You can do Facebook retargeting. Data turn any kind of item into a smart object. Streaming information. Oops. I just unplugged my monitor and it totally screwed up my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? Can everybody still see my screen? I unplugged my monitor and it moved everything to one monitor. Sorry about that. Let me get straight back up here. But anything can become a smart object, right? You can put these inside cars. You can put these inside buildings. You can put these up to in a museum where it literally tells the information about what they're walking up to. And I'm sorry, I can't remember who posted it. I know I can never remember. But somebody posted a nice sign in the group just a couple of weeks ago that tells people, hey, we're using Beacon technology here. Make sure you use that kind of signage to let people know, hey, check your notifications because we've got special offers right here in this store. Turn everything in that store into a data point. Beacons are one-way transmitters that are used to mark important places and objects. Typically, a beacon is visible to a user's device from a range of a few meters. And when I got a lot of questions about that over the last 2 weeks as I went through the overview a couple of weeks ago on this particular item. You can set your beacons one of two ways. If it's a small place, you can literally use one beacon in the middle of the store and transmit one URL. If it's a larger place, you're going to need multiple beacons. The optimum is anywhere from about 10 to 20 feet. Why? Because you want the strongest signal coming from the area that they walk up on. Okay? You want the strongest signal coming from the area that they walk up on. So you don't want every thing set at 115 feet and their phones are inundated. You want it to where when they walk around the store, they're getting those notifications. The Eddystone format, we just went through that a little bit ago. Very powerful, very, very powerful. And iOS, Apple is going to come on board. Speaking of that, let me just ask, has anybody seen the news in the last couple of days about operating system 11 for iPhone? And they're literally getting ready to shut down just thousands and thousands and thousands of apps because these apps are no longer going to be compatible. What they've done is they're going from the 32-bit to the 64-bit system. And those old apps will work, but because they're 32-bit and the new system is not, they're going to be extremely slow. So everybody's got to go out now and update and upgrade those old apps. I mean, the industry is just in fumes over what's about to happen with the operating system 11 that's getting to come out for Apple. And if I was spent all that money, upwards to $50,000 to $100,000, some apps up to $250,000, $300,000 for a native app, and that happened, I would be very, very upset. Just another reason for you to go out and explain to your customers why they need mobile web apps versus the native app. We focused on the Eddystone URL, and then last week we finished up with the Eddystone UID. Has anybody set up the Eddystone UID? I know Tom Hattori out in Vegas has been using the Eddystone UID. Has anybody else set up the Eddystone UID? I know I've got a few apps that have been set up with the Eddystone UID. Works really good. I really love it. It's really, really cool. I can change things from right here in my office versus having to worry about going out and doing anything to the beacon. Then we went into programming the Eddystone. This is probably the simplest, toughest thing anybody's ever done. And it's very important that you follow specific steps. We're just going to run through the slides. We're not going to spend a lot of time in it. But you got to have your beacon. You got to have a mobile phone, Android and or iPhone with Bluetooth, a configuration app, a mobile web app, and a mobile web app URL. First off, the beacon. We are using the rad dot beacons. There are many different beacons out there that you can use. We use the rad dot beacons from Radius Networks. We'll just flip through here. They literally can go anywhere. I keep one in my pocket all the time. On one of my websites that I keep a beacon for, when I go to large areas where there's a lot of people, I average anywhere from 100 to 300 unique views. Unique meaning that someone actually opened up that page. Okay, it's really, really exciting, and that's what driving traffic's all about. I recommend, if you haven't done it, hook up your Facebook page to your beacon. Okay, make sure that your Facebook page is hooked up to your beacon. Now, let me say something about that. You know, Facebook used to be https://facebook.com/pages/ whatever your page name is. They got away from the pages. Okay, so now it's just facebook.com/ it's just an extension of the URL. You don't have to put the pages in there anymore. Make sure when you set up your beacon, when you're using the Google shortener, you do not put the pages in there. It puts Chinese on the notification. There's some kind of Chinese lettering on the notification, and it takes you to a different page. You want to make sure that you leave the pages out and just put it as it is now. It's facebook.com/Appwizard Studio. These beacons are certified and licensed. And as I said before, you don't have to, yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, I think I got a hit for Brenda in Dallas, Texas. I accidentally took hers instead of mine to a little restaurant on the lake where I like to go. And she got a hit from Dallas, Texas on her beacon, which was pretty cool, by the way. And but go to developers.google.com/beacons. That's developers.google.com/beacons. And you can find these approved beacon manufacturers. And they have everything they need. Google says, yep, you guys do exactly what we want. They're Eddystone URL compatible. They're UID compatible. And they've got all the technology in them that Google says, yep, we will stand behind you and say, these are the ones you need to use. Some people have used the contacts. Very nice beacons. I like them. I've not personally used them, but I've looked a lot into those beacons and the Radius Network beacons. So a lot of great beacon companies out there. Of course, you have to have your Android or mobile, your Android app or your iPhone app, and you have to have your Bluetooth enabled. You have to make sure you download the configuration app. I've had several people say, hey, I can't configure my beacon. It won't configure. And they said, we don't see it connecting to Bluetooth. And I say, well, did you configure it? No, Android or Apple does not have audible alarms for these notification hits. And I will say yet, I feel that is probably going to be something that comes. And so I asked him, I said, well, did you download the configuration app? No, I didn't download that. Well, you can't configure these apps without the configuration app. It's just not going to happen. And so you have to make sure that you download the configuration app and have to connect it. Now, let me say, and let me run through this, and I'm going to show you on another screen here. But you do everything through the configuration app, and or you can use a MacBook. Okay, you can actually configure these using a MacBook. And of course, you have to have the mobile web app. And in the mobile web app, we are using the 2tap.mobi with the copy code. Okay, the 2tap.mobi with the copy code. You do not put in the full URL. It's just simply https://, and it must be the S. One of the biggest things left off is the S, and people will call up and say, hey, I can't get this to transmit. I keep a beacon right by my phone. I load it up. It transmits fine. And I say, did you put the S on? They look back at it, and they leave the S off. Has to have the S, or it will not transmit. Okay, it will not transmit. Then you put it all together. You have your beacon, you have your app, and you have your mobile web app. Do this. Make sure when those beacons come in, make sure you click through it and make sure it goes to off, then make sure it goes to on, then hold it down for about 3 to 5 seconds and it will start flashing. Okay. Sometimes I've had a couple of beacons come in where I'm sure they test them up at the plant and they were already turned on, and I click it and it goes to red. Okay. And then you hold it down. If it's on red, you're not going to get anything. It's not going to do anything. And that happens. It doesn't happen a lot. I've been through a lot of these beacons already, but it does happen. So you've got your beacon and it starts flashing. Okay. You do not have to take the top off. I just took that off for training's sake. All right. And then you're going to open up the app. Now, here's another thing that some people call up, and I get this probably once or twice a week. Carrie, I can't get my beacon to show. When you scroll down, it's going to start doing this right here. Now, I've had this do this for up to a minute, and then your beacon is going to start flashing. If it doesn't flashing while it is scanning, just simply cycle through again, hold it down, let it start flashing, and your beacon will show up. All right. What this app is doing is it's looking for that beacon. It's looking for whatever technology is inside that beacon to connect to that app through the Bluetooth. And what causes that? I don't know. I know when I talked to Jared up at Radius, he said just cycle through it. And sure enough, and that happens maybe 1 out of every 10 or 15 beacons, and I just cycle through it, and the beacon pops right up, and the app finds it. Now, when you come in, you've got to turn off one of these, but in order to turn off one of these, you've got to turn one on. So we're going to turn on the Eddystone URL. Okay, if you try to turn it on and have everything off, it's going to tell you got to have something on. So then we're going to turn off the iBeacon. And now we've got on the Eddystone URL. Now you can use the Google shortener. You don't have to use the Google shortener. Okay. You can use just the HTTPS, but sometimes the 2tap.mobi, but some of the URLs are extremely long. If they're too long, you have to come in and shorten it. I recommend the Google shortener. I've never had any problems with the Google shortener. None. Has anybody had any trouble using the Google shortener? All the others, I've tried several and I couldn't get them to work. Google always works. So if you're using a shortener that's working for you, let us know, because I would like to use a couple of different shorteners just to have them as a backup. But Google shorteners never worked. We're going to hit apply. You don't have to worry about the calibrate and all that. We talked about that later on in the next training, where you set that at actually 66 right here, the calibrated power. The calibration is only on the iPhone, and the calibration is actually used for native apps. So just set the calibrated power for 66. We're going to hit apply. The PIN number is always 8 zeros. Always 8 zeros. This is another question I get quite often. Hey, my PIN doesn't work. Did you put in 8 zeros? I thought I did. It's 8 zeros. Okay. And of course, now this is an Android phone. This is the first test that I ran on a beacon when I got it in. This is an iPhone 7. And when you open this on this particular Android phone, and this is the only Android phone I've seen it on, so I can't tell you what it looks like on anybody else's phone. But when you open this up, this opens up notifications. Your nearby notification screen. And it'll have, if you've got 2 or 3 of them here, there'll be 2 or 3 of them here, and it goes directly to your nearby screen. On the iPhone 7, it opens up just like this. You can see here, grow your business and the beacons to go. This is the app that goes with this website. Okay. And I've got one made for both of them. And I carry those with me. Once again, I keep them in my pocket every place I go. And I know Brenda said a while ago, she does the same thing. This is actually on a tablet. I wanted to check on a tablet. And sure enough, this is an Android tablet. And I clicked on that and opened up nearby notifications. So it also works on tablets. Now, where is of tablets very, very prominent? There's a place that you can go, and I can tell you, everybody in there has either got a tablet and or a laptop computer. Does anybody know? Maybe you don't go as often as I do. Coffee shops. Coffee shops. I've never been in a coffee shop that every table in there didn't have a tablet sitting in there or a laptop computer. Why do people go to the coffee shops? Yeah, somebody said coffee house. Why do people go to the coffee shops? Because they got free Wi-Fi. I can tell you, you can see more business people at Starbucks first thing in the morning, getting ready to go out and do business. All the salespeople are in there, updating everything, getting them some latte, and getting ready to go out. Any questions and answers so far on part one of what we went through? Anybody at all? Any questions on the beacon setup itself? Any questions at all? Okay, we're going to keep on going. Is.good. Okay, great. Thank you, Brenda. Setting up Google Analytics. I highly recommend. Okay, and I don't know how many of you use it. How many of you do use Google Analytics? I'll just ask the question, and I'll get a good idea how many people use it. How many people use Google Analytics on your apps, your mobile web apps? Todd says he does. I do. Michael does. Tom does. Very, very important. Okay, it's not hard to set up. We did the training on this. It's very, very important that you know the data that's going on, that you know what's happening, and that you set this up inside your mobile web apps. Of course, you simply come into your site. As I said before, you've got to have a Gmail account, okay? And I don't know who that good-looking guy is on this Gmail account, but I bet he gets a lot of hits on that, just that picture alone. Just kidding. And then we're going to come down to admin, okay? And when we go to admin, we're going to start setting up our app. For example, this is the account, okay? We're going to come down, and under this account, I've got several applications that I'm going to set up, all right? But simply go through here. It's very important. It's very easy to do. And my screen's not changing. But we're going to create a new account. And my screen's not changing. I don't know why it's not changing. You go in your create account, and you're going to get your data, okay? And you're going to fill out your information. You got to have your URL, all right, right here, what the URL is. And you're going to just set, there's not a lot that you have to set up. Just everything is clicked, recommended. I just say get tracking ID, because that's all you're really concerned about is getting the tracking ID. All right, hit I accept. Yeah, Kenny, you're right. And this website tracking information right here from script to script, we're going to copy that. And then we're simply going to come in. We're going to go into Edit Web App. We're going to go down to the bottom of Settings. We're going to go into Google Analytics Stats. And the number one, what's the number one thing people do that they don't get any data back? Can anybody tell me what the number one call that I get when they set up Google Analytics? And they say, hey, I'm not getting any information. They put it in the wrong window. Absolutely. They put it in third-party code. And it's hard. It's kind of easy to do if you're just down here and you're flying through making things happen. But it's not third-party code. It's the Google Analytics right above it. And we'll go through and we'll look at it, and it'll be in the third-party code, and they just copy the code, take it out, save it, and put it back in. And simply copy that code and paste it right here in Google Analytics. Hit save, and you're good to go. Matter of fact, this happens if you're on the live portion in real time. When this is the best way to check this. When you set up your analytics, open up your app and go to your analytics section in Google, and go to real-time overview. And this is literally this happens within seconds, that you can see people inside your app. Now, I will also tell you that it's addicting. Okay, it's very, very addicting, because I will literally, when I go somewhere with my beacon in my pocket, I've also got Google Analytics on my phone, and I'm sitting there watching it the whole time. I go to a restaurant. and I'm watching it. Okay, so don't get addicted to it. It's easy to do because you get excited that people are in your stuff and everything's working correctly, right? So, and you can see where they're coming from, you know, right where they're at, and what's going on. This right here came directly from that. I was literally sitting here doing it, but everything was working great. Okay. Powering campaigns. We talked about powering campaigns. We're going to go into strategies really heavily next week. I can tell you, I've got this one on the way right here, this little USB beacon that's on its way, and I hope to be configuring this in using the Peepo, okay, the Peepo terminal for the kiosk. I'm going to be testing that next week, and so really looking forward to it. I'm really excited. That's supposed to be in either Saturday or Monday, and hopefully it'll get here. But you can see that the battery life, of course, the battery life is continuous on a USB, about 285 days on the Rad Dot. I've been running my Rad Dots continuously. I've been running my Rad Dots continuously for a month now, and I'm still at like 98%. So mine are going to go much longer than 285 days. But you can get these batteries at the dollar store, 2 for $1. Throw them in, and you're back in business. Okay. And then the X4 uses AAA batteries. All right. And this is also waterproof. The settings you choose for transmission power and interval will have a large impact on your beacon. So if you're, for example, the person that called me and said, well, man, I want to go out and I want to shoot out to 300 feet. You know, I want to go across a football field. You can do that, but know that if you keep it there, it is going to deteriorate that battery quite rapidly because it's using a lot of power to transmit out. And we show you the transmission powers here. This is where we set our transmission power is at 3. And it's just, again, is an illustration of the different types of beacons. Setting up a beacon campaign. Your campaign goal should be very simple, and that is to drive traffic for your client. You really have no other job in your life for your client except to drive traffic and do what? Make them money. That's the only reason they hired you. They really don't care about anything else except whether or not you can make them money. Okay? If you're not making them money and you're not driving traffic, they're not going to be your client very long. They may love you, they may like you, they may think you're the greatest person in the world, but they're not going to write you checks if they're not getting a return on investment on the work that you're doing for them. So you want to do what? You want to make sure that you transform their visitors into app views. You want to make sure that everything you're doing, from text message marketing, from kiosk marketing, from just putting the 27126 out there in print, driving people into where? That mobile app, because that mobile app is the point that disseminates all the information for them to see, whether it be a coupon, special offers, special information, whatever it is, right inside that mobile app. There isn't anything more important than that marketing platform and that mobile app. They have to work together in coordination. And of course, now the kiosk. We've already talked about the power of the proximity beacons. Educate your customer on how to utilize their beacons. When you go in to talk to your customers, of course, we as sales reps want to do what? We want to give them as much technology as it takes to operate their marketing strategy at the utmost level that they can receive the best benefit from it. Okay? We want to make sure that everything works hand in hand. So if it takes 3 beacons, 5 beacons, or 10 beacons, it doesn't really matter. Okay? Because the return on investment will offset the cost of what they're going to sit down with. Now, make sure you know, okay, that there is going to be an offset of cost, and you have to know what that cost is going to be, and you have to know what their traffic flow is. You have to make sure that you're driving traffic. Some people just go in, they sell these mobile business cards. I've seen it for 5 years. They'll sell them a mobile business card, They never talked to them again. And then all of a sudden the checks stopped flowing, and they asked themselves why. Because a mobile business card, a mobile web app, okay, a beacon, a kiosk is only as good as the marketing strategy that is put behind it. If you have no strategy and they're just sitting there, you know, like the toothbrush sitting next to the sink, you know, and you got to make your kids use it. If they don't use it, it doesn't do them any good. It's the same way with this technology. It doesn't matter what it is, but set up your strategy. Know what they're wanting to do. Know where they're wanting to sell from. Know where they're. I was talking to a guy the other day, and we were talking about his store, and I asked him, I said, what is the most underutilized section of your store? And he went back over into the left-hand corner, which happened to be by the dressing rooms, and he said, nobody comes over here. And I said, what would you do if I could drive people to that corner? I said, what does that corner cost you? It cost him $2.67 a square foot. And there's about 40 square foot back in that area. And he's paying for that every month, and he's not getting the return from the items that are there. So he's constantly moving that out and setting it in another area. And so we're working on a strategy right now with the Beacon technology and the mobile web apps. And it's going to be I'm crossing my fingers, it's going to be a very nice account. So ask those questions. Hey, Kenny, what is the most underutilized area in your store? Trust me, they know because they're paying for it. Some places in Dallas, I guarantee you, Michael Cahill will probably tell you the same thing. In Atlanta, Georgia, they don't pay by the square foot. They pay by the square inch. Okay? That's how that high dollar real estate goes. And that's just the way it works. And you got to make sure that they are utilizing every square foot of that store to increase their revenues. And most businesses don't even think about that until you bring it up. Maximize your client's reach. You can see here, they've got beacons out on the front of the stores as people are walking by. You know, reach out to people. Let them know that the store is there. There again, I'll use the concert, the first concert I went to. I was kind of bummed out because people wasn't looking at I had a few people that I could see that were looking at my my web app. I thought, yeah, this isn't going very well. There's about 4,000 or 5,000 people out here. And then when I got home, I had over 230 unique hits on that site after the concert was over. So what was happening? You know, they weren't looking at their notifications. They were paying attention to the concert. And I learned so much from that experience of watching the Beacon while I was there, watching my analytics while I was there, you know, kind of down in the dumps thinking, man, all these people, they got to be looking at their phone. They did when they got in their car and they started driving off. And that's where the unique hits started coming. From about 10 o'clock to midnight, all those hits came in on that site. And then I was very excited. So don't get discouraged if you're not seeing those hits right away. Maybe they're driving, maybe they're walking the dog, maybe they got a handful of packages, but they will look at those notifications. It will come. And those notifications are to do what? Drive them back into the mobile web app, which drives them back into these stores so that you can turn that 60% into 80% or 48 more people coming back. Okay? Put them in the places where the sales are. Make sure they broadcast the sales. The signage, and I talked about this. Does anybody remember who put the signage in the group? I know I asked this like 2 weeks ago, but I've slept twice since then. So put the signage up. Make sure the customers know, because these beacons are becoming popular. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you very much. And it was great. I need to bring that in and put that on training. Okay. But people are starting to let people know they've got Beacon technology. So people are getting used to it. So what are people going to start doing? They're going to start looking for it. How to use multiple beacons with multiple app pages. This was a very powerful thing that we did. Mark programmed this about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, to where we could actually go in and use this for multiple pages. This was a learning curve, okay? But I don't know, the 20 or 30 people that called me, we got through it, and their beacons are working great. And that's the reason we did it. And I knew it'd be a little bit of a learning curve because anytime you're going from a URL like this to a URL like this, and you're trying to put extensions on there, I understand. But it works great, okay? And you can drive beacons to any page that you want to. Thank you, Tom. And yeah, for instance, you come in and you pull off the link, okay? And what I did here was I simply just rolled over the subscribe button, which is the click here for more info. And this is the join our list button. So I just rolled over that. And I don't know if you can see that in the left-hand corner of the screen right there. But that URL is the URL. And what you do is everything after Susan Overton there, you just put subscribe after the 7C34. So, but I think everybody's pretty much got that now. But you do have that capability. For those of you that did not know, you can send them to any page in the app. You can also pull them off from here. All you got to do is roll your mouse over it, and it will show in the left-hand corner of your screen, and or right-click it and save the link. The Eddystone UID dashboard. We went through this last week. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I know we've got just a few minutes left, so we're gonna just finish up with the UID dashboard. Has any of you set up UID? I know Tom Hattori. I think I said that earlier in the training. Tom Hattori had set up some UIDs and was actually experimenting with the time settings on it and stuff. And that's awesome. I tell you what, man. Setting up those time frames on those UIDs going to separate pages is absolutely phenomenal. Now, remember that the UID only works with the Android phone. It does not work with the iPhone, okay? It does not work with the iPhone. But also, remember this, that the largest market in the United States right now happens to be Android. Was iPhone for a while. Android fell behind the curve. Android's back on the move. And I also just read the other day that, yeah, you can't have time overlap for the same URL. I read just the other day where Samsung, that makes Android, is getting ready to really take over a lot of the hardware in the iPhone. Okay, it's getting ready to take over the hardware in the iPhone. So what does that tell you? I mean, it shows you where the market's going. I don't know how many of you keep up with this. I think I actually read that from an article that Michael Cahill posted in the group. Technology is becoming one. And the iPhone ecosphere, as hard as it's going to be to break, is eventually going to have to crack open, because all this technology is working hand in hand, and they don't want to be left behind. And this is inside the UID platform. It's very easy to use. Tom Hattori, did you find this easy to use, buddy? Did you find that setting up the UIDs was easy to do? It's very simple to do. Setting up you got to set up the app, and you got to go into two different apps to set it up. But it's not hard to do. Once you get it registered with the dashboard, everything is a piece of cake. And now the great thing about the UID is you can literally go in and set up make the changes right inside the dashboard. Very, very, very cool. And of course, you need beacon tools in order to set it up. This is beacon tools here. This is a downloadable app right here. And you need the Rad Beacon configuration app. And you need a beacon. Next week, we are going to start talking strategy, okay? Are there any questions about beacons, setting up the apps, utilizing the apps, or doing anything like that? Anybody at all have any questions? Yeah, Tom makes a good point. I don't know if you guys can see the Q&A. He said there was a little learning curve, but he just had to play with it. Don't be afraid to play with this stuff. The beacons, you can reset the beacons, okay? You're not going to tear the beacons up. Just simply go in, put it in configuration mode, hit reset, and it goes right back to factory configuration and start over. You're not going to mess anything up. So always, always, always sit down and play with it and know exactly what you're doing. Next week, we're going to start talking strategy. Okay. And we're going to make sure that everybody understands what we call our ecosphere, Appwizard Studio ecosphere. Okay. And the center of our world, and you can see here, and I put a world over the marketing platform, that is the center of everything you do. All right. And we're going to talk about that next week. And we're going to talk about 27126. And we're going to talk about loyalty rewards and the kiosk program and the mobile web app and collecting and disseminating information. And now with the Beacon on top of that, and along with SMS and text message marketing. All of these things combined. And we're going to spend a couple of weeks on this. We may even spend 3 weeks on it, because I want you guys' input. I want you, especially you veterans out there that have been doing this for a while. We're going to get input, and we're going to prop up and help those of you, okay, those of you who maybe you're struggling, maybe you're trying to find different methods to use. I spoke to Brenda today. We brainstormed over Messenger and brought some things up and brought some new ideas about breakaway. We're going to break away from the tunnel vision. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to break away from the tunnel vision. Sometimes I really believe this, and I believe this from talking to people. Sometimes I think we don't realize the power that we actually have. And I mean a very, very, very powerful system that we can literally go in and change the entire structure of a business and their return on investment, and increase their revenues and literally change their business. And I don't know about you, there's not a better feeling in the world than helping someone else succeed. Especially when you walk into a business and they're hanging on by a thread, and you know they're fixing to give you their last $1,000 for marketing, and you're going to have the opportunity to help them rebuild their business. Guys, there's nothing better in the world than doing that, than going out and sharing and talking to. And I don't mean you got to go out and sell this thing to everybody, but you do need to be talking to everybody. There's nothing more important than doing that. Speaking of talking, I'm going to put, I hope everybody can get this. I posted today a book. It was called Exactly What to Say. If you got a Kindle, it's free. And it's absolutely, and I'm trying to figure out where to paste it here. I bought it because I got it through an email. And it said, hey, man, check this out. It is great. And I bought and I read the whole thing in like less than an hour, maybe 45, 50 minutes, something like that. But it's got some of the most potent words in it that you've ever read, and actually would be able to turn a sale around just by using these strategies in this book. It's not a big read. It's cheap. You need to keep it in your pocket. You need to read it 100 times. Strategy is what it's all about. And that's what I want to work on over the next few weeks is strategies, helping you build your businesses. We're in the last half of the year. As Michael pointed out to me the other day, I couldn't count. We're actually past into a month past the half of the year, but you can't wait another 5 months to get started. You got to start now, and you got to start building your business. And that's what we're going to work on over this next 3 to 4 weeks. Strategies, business building, putting all the pieces together, taking all the pieces of the puzzle, and making sure that everybody knows. Absolutely, Todd. Great book, dude. It's a great, great book. Quick read. And if you got Kindle, whatever it's called, it's free. So, but strategies where it's at. The center of the universe, the marketing platform, the mobile web app, the kiosk system, the SMS, and the beacon. So any questions at all? Any questions at all before we get out of here? I was just sitting here thinking while we were training, I don't think I've ate since breakfast this morning. I'm getting hungry. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thanks so much for coming out. I look forward to. Yeah. This Zoom interface is much more stable. I love it. I love it. It's recording. Yeah, real time, and it's recording also at the same time to YouTube Live, which we don't have to watch, but you can if you get a notification. And I highly recommend go down. I recommend everybody on here. Matter of fact, Michael Cahill, the day we got this, had emailed me and said, "Hey, have you guys looked at Zoom?" And an hour later, we were purchasing Zoom. Woodrow purchased Zoom, and the only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't have integration for like MailChimp and those kind of things. My brain is like fried. Integration for email programs, but that's the only thing it doesn't have. It still builds the list for you and everything, but it's a great program. And let me recommend for everybody on here, when you get off training tonight, go to Zoom, set you up an account on the free program, because I can tell you, this is going to be the next wave of selling customers. All right. Of being able to sell customers is talking to them via platforms just like this. That's the reason they're so popular. They would not be putting all the money into this technology if people were not using it. Okay. Training, invaluable for your clients. I mean, you sit down and you set up trainings. You let Martha know, hey, Martha, we're going to do a training for your clients this Wednesday. And we're going to do it in the morning, we're going to do it in the afternoon, and we're going to do it in the evening. How many people can you have there? I want to get everybody trained. And you can literally train them on what to do. Because I can tell you, you're going to find that there are some business owners that are, they don't train well. And sometimes they don't like to tell their employees what to do. I know that sounds crazy, but it happens. And that should be part of your package anyway, right? We're going to help you train your employees. And you don't have to go up there. You don't have to leave the house. You don't have to do anything. Set up a computer in the back room and literally let them come in 2 or 3 at a time. If you have to do 4 or 5 sessions, who cares? The guy just paid you $2,000 or $3,000 for your package, and he's going to continue to pay that for the next 20 years if you're good to him. Okay? So, great program. Any more questions? Let's clear these off. Let me make sure I got all these. Tom said he got the book. It's a great book, man. I love it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Everybody have a great night. God bless. And I will see you in Facebook. And I will see you next Wednesday as we start our strategy sessions. You guys that are shakers and movers, we're going to be turning to you and asking you questions. Let other people ask questions. May bring you on live. I know last week we tested Michael Cahill. Going to bring some people on live and talk about some strategy work. And we're going to get you guys lined out. Everybody have a great evening. God bless, and we'll see you later. Thank you, Brenda. And on behalf of Woodrow, I know he would say thank you, Todd.